Okay, and I would just ask all the participants that are presenting or are with the presenters to please go to the chat, put your full name, the case that you're associated with, and your affiliation. That really helps us tremendously with uh, having the legal action report correct. So thank you. I'll go ahead and call the meeting to order. This is the Tucson-Pima County Historical Commission Plans Review Subcommittee meeting of Thursday, April 9th, 2026. Call to order at 1:02 p.m. And I will go ahead and do roll call. Terry Majewski is here. Andrew Christopher.
Here.
Blake Houghton. Blake, are you there?
Issues with your phone, perhaps? Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can. And so you're here. Joel Ireland.
Here.
Savannah McDonald.
Here.
Great, thank you. We have full quorum of 5. Item 2 is review and approval of the March 26, 2026 legal action report / minutes. Could I have a motion to approve as submitted, please?
I'll move to approve the minutes as submitted, Terry. This is Blake.
Thank you. Okay, and who will second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Savannah. Is there any discussion? Okay, if not, I'll call roll. Terry votes aye. Savannah?
Aye.
Joel?
Aye.
Blake?
Aye.
And Andrew?
Aye.
Great, thank you. The minutes, LAR/minutes are approved unanimously 5-0. Item 3 is summary of public comments. Did we receive any by the posted deadline, Desiree?
This is staff person Jason. I can say that no comments were received.
Period. Okay. And is Desiree on? Yeah, there she is.
She might be having technical issues.
Okay. Okay, item 4 then is our historic preservation zone review cases, and we review these under UDC section 5.8/TSM 9-02.0 Historic District Design Guidelines and the revised Secretary of the Interior Standards and Guidelines. Case 4A is SD 0326 00045/TC-COM 0226-00166. This is at 130 South Scott Avenue. And Desiree is the staff contact. Desiree, are you able to give us some background?
Yes. Can you all hear me okay now?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, great. And before I start, who will be presenting on behalf of the project team?
That'll be
Joe.
Joe Lithium.
Okay, let me just make you co-host. So then you can present in a moment, but I'll give a little bit of background. So yes, this is 130 South Scott Avenue. The Tucson Children's Museum is proposing a new 2,351 square foot solar carport in the parking lots. The property is located in the Rio Nuevo area or Rio Nuevo district, which is triggering the historic review, as it's also a contributor to the Armory Park Historic Residential District, which is a National Register district. So this is not within the Armory Park HPZ, so therefore it didn't go to the HPZ advisory board. It did go to the DRB, or the Design Review Board, as it's in the Rio Nuevo area. And because of scheduling, availability, the April and May DRB agendas were full, so it did already go to DRB. On April 3rd, they recommended approval with 2 conditions: that the site plan clearly identify both required and proposed street setbacks, and 2, to include in the design package a color sample for the structural finish. And my understanding is the applicant will show those setbacks and proposed color in the presentation to PRS today. Also, Maria Galloso is here, who oversees our special districts review. So Maria, if you have anything to add, feel free, or if people have questions for her, she can support.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so I think we can go ahead and hear from you, Joe.
All right, thank you all for your time. Let me just get my presentation up here and share my screen with you. I guess I needed to share the screen before that.
Yeah.
Okay, and now can you all see the screen where you have the Children's Museum?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, great. So just to give you a project overview, we have 84 modules, this solar array that's going to go on the north side of the parking lot. So it will be on the south side of East Jackson Street. I have a map to show here in a second. The project was funded by the Arizona Community Foundation of Southern Arizona, so it's a grant. And the system, just to give you the size, is a 46 kilowatt DC system and 60 kilowatt AC. System will offset 100% of the energy use. And at the bottom there, you see a statement from Lauren Kay, who is the Director of Strategic Initiatives for the Children's Museum. She talks about the money they're going to save from the spending on electricity. It's going to go to other programs that are going to benefit this nonprofit. The building height, the canopy itself will be adjacent to all the buildings that have roofs that are higher. It's gonna blend in nicely with the surroundings. It's not obnoxiously up. We have it tilted at 10 degrees. All the setbacks are met except on the side of East Jackson Street. We didn't have the required 20 feet. So the issue was addressed during the DRP meeting, and it didn't require us to go through the DDO. As far as the parking lot, the effect on the parking lot and circulation, there'll be first no parking loss. So all the parking stalls will remain the same. The canopy will be installed at the lower end at 15 feet high because it encroaches about a foot into the PAL. So we were asked by engineering to take it to 15 feet high. And this way it will allow for trucks or vehicles to freely enter and exit that parking lot. As far as pedestrian access, this array does not interfere whatsoever with any pedestrian access pathways or otherwise. And the canopy will be open, so there'll be line of sight not affected at all because, again, the canopy is at a low tilt at 10 degrees and it's not enclosed. As far as the shade is concerned, we did the shade study and the canopy would add to the shade to the sidewalk because it's installed approximately 3 feet from the sidewalk. So even with the sun at 80 degrees, it's going to contribute to shading that sidewalk along the south side of East Jackson Street. So in this map here, it gives you an idea where the array is going to be on the north side of that parking lot. There's another view here where we're going to have our canopy. So we have enough setback to South Scott Avenue and enough setback to the apartment building that's going just to the west of the property here. This is the assessor's map with the location of the canopy and the lot where the project is going to be. And by the way, this presentation is with Maria, if anybody would like a copy of it. Okay, so this is the canopy profile. So as you can see at the lower end, it's at 15 feet high to allow for free entrance and exit for any vehicles such as trucks. This parking lot is not for the public, it's for the museum, so we don't expect anything like semis or anything like that to enter this parking lot. So when Desiree mentioned the conditions for the DRB approval, so we revised the site plan. As you can see, we have the distance from Scott Street to the edge of the array. So that is clearly marked now. The old site plan did not have any of that. And also we added the color that the beams and the posts of this array would have. This color matches the building itself. So I will show you the building. The only issue I had here, or we had, was when you take a screenshot of that, or even of a picture that we took, it always appears a little darker. So when you see the building looks slightly lighter than this color, but it will 100% match the perimeter wall. Why don't I just go to that? So the array is going to be here. The posts and the beams will match all this color 100%. So we have a sample, and Sherwin-Williams will match it for us. And the beams and the posts will be the same exact color as you see here. So I want to give you examples of previous projects similar to this project that we've done. This project is on 4th and Swan. This is an aerial view of the project, and this is the same project here. See here the beam and the post, they're all close to the color of the building. This color actually was chosen by the owner. The view here from under the array, the only difference here, our panels are going to be black at the bottom. So they're going to blend in nicely with the posts and beams. These are panels from a few years ago, from 22. And now the panels we use have a darker back. Another example here, and what I really want to stress here, our method of managing these wires. Sometimes if you look closely, if you park under one of these canopies and you look at the wires, looks like a spaghetti mesh, because the material used to manage these wires sometimes is zip ties, and zip ties rot, dry, and break. So these wires will be dangling and hanging. We only use stainless steel clips, and these stainless steel clips are lifetime, so they're not going to rust or corrode, and the wires are assured to stay where they are lifetime, unless if we have a big storm or what have you and the panels get off there. But anyway, so this is important for the looks. As you walk on Scott Street, you will not be looking at a spaghetti mesh up here. This is an example of a project we had at Home Instead Senior Care, which is located on Tucson Boulevard in Fort Lauderdale. This is the project under construction here. This is kind of close in size of this array we're going to build, so it kind of gives you an idea of how big this thing is going to be. This is a big project we had at a ranch up in Marana. This is the project under construction here. And this is a residential within the city of Tucson, right off of, I think this is in the Sam Hughes neighborhood right here. I know the equipment is important and the location of the equipment to make sure we preserve the site and do the least disturbance to the site. So just to give you an idea what's involved, the inverter right here marked on the post, and we have a TEP meter and a disconnect. This is an example of the disconnect, the meter, and the inverter will be hung on the array itself. So all of this equipment, just to give you an idea, will be on the west side of the building, and I'll show you in a second where it's going to be, along with the existing TEP equipment. So anything on this drawing here that designated with an E that's existing, N is new. So the only new we have is we install in a small transformer here. We have a disconnect and a meter base. Everything else exists. So this is all TEP equipment here. This, right here, this picture shows where the equipment is gonna be. It's gonna be in that side alleyway. So it's not really visible from either Ochoa, which is to the south, or Jackson, which is to the north. This here is looking at, from the site, looking south on Scott Avenue. This is looking north on Scott Avenue towards Broadway, and right here is the TEP building. This here looking east on Jackson Street, basically the other side of the project. Here's our building. Our project is going to be right there. And the TEP building you see in the distance. This is from the other side, that's to the south, looking on Ochoa. And that is it. And I'm ready for any questions you may have.
Thank you. Go ahead. Who would like to start with questions from the PRF?
I can start. Here.
Thank you, Serena.
Yeah, I mean, I think in previous reviews for these in historic zones, we do not see an overhang into the parking area access lane or PAL, and so the structure can stay at a more modest 8-foot minimum height because it doesn't extend. And so I feel like we should probably I don't try to adhere to that. This seems excessive because of the extension. It's a 10 feet wider than the parking space. So I have concerns about just the height. Can you go to a section, please? I have a few questions on that.
So what section, Savannah?
The section view?
Oh, okay, sure.
Yeah.
Right here.
Yeah, I mean, just architecturally, it's a little problematic because the wheel stop is shown outside the parking space. So if the car pulls all the way up, that column is going to hit at the worst possible point on the pedestrian passenger side car doors. But the question I have apart from that is there's 6 feet between the wheel stop and the wall. So is that a sidewalk?
No, okay, so your concern is right here where we have the beam. Somebody's going to open their door and hit the door?
Correct, yeah, because
that
the wheel
correctly?
stop is it should be 2.5 feet into the 18-foot parking space so that the wheel hits approximately the same location as the beam so that your door clears it. Sorry, the
Sure.
post.
So we plan on having I don't know if you ever seen the cushions around the beams. So first, I don't expect it to be that far, 6 feet. I just paid attention to that. That's a little too excessive. I think our beam, because our beam is going to be a lot closer, but still, even though it's closer, when you open the door, if the door swings at 90 degrees, there's a chance of hitting that beam. So we plan on having cushions around the beam at the bottom to mitigate that issue.
Is this section correct though? You have 6 feet and then the parking space and then like another 5 feet into the POW?
It's not going to be 5 feet into the PAL. We measured it at 2 feet into the PAL, but when I met with the engineers, they said, we don't care if it's 6 inches. If it encroaches to the PAL, you have to have the height of 15 feet.
Can you make it longer instead of deeper so that you're out of the POW and that way you can drop it 7 feet?
As you mean, as far as the array is concerned?
Yeah.
Well, it is possible, but it's going to take a lot more to make it longer. And now you're encroaching on the landscaping along Scott Avenue. And I'm sure you probably know this.
I guess I
building.
meant east-west, like cover more parking spaces.
Yeah, you can, but 2 issues with that. It's going to put us out because we're going to take 21 panels if we're going to do that. 21 panels, that means we're going to go towards Scott Avenue, okay? Some of it, part of it towards Scott Avenue, which is going to encroach on the landscape in there. And to the west, to that, that apartment building going up is over 45 feet high. So that's going to be a big concern with the shade. So we're trying, let me show you here. We're trying to get it as far away from the west side as possible to mitigate that shade issue, because that building is going to start shading the structure, especially in the winter at about 2 o'clock. So pushing it to the east and having as far of a space here as possible is going to help with the production.
Okay, thank you. That was all my questions and issues.
Thank you, Savannah. But back to your issue, I totally understand the car issue. That's going to be cushioned, so this way, if somebody's not paying attention and they just think their door is open. The other thing, I have kids, and I know how my kids open the door to my vehicle. And sometimes they don't pay attention to what's next to them. So you're going to have kids there getting out of vehicles excited. They just open the door, not paying attention. Obviously, we don't want to cause damage, so there got to be cushions installed.
Yeah. Okay. I just say, like, I usually design it so it's in line with the wheel stop. It changes the cantilever, it changes the engineering. Certainly, it creates more of a cantilever, but generally kind of a better, more foolproof
Correct.
location for the post. That's all.
That is correct. This is a T structure because of the size of the array going north-south.
Okay, who's next with questions?
This is Joel. I have nothing to add except I want to echo what Savannah said. I sort of had the same questions about those issues, so I'm concerned as well, for what it's worth.
Okay,
Great,
Mr.
thank you,
Island,
Joel.
I hope that I address these concerns.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, who's next? Blake or Andrew?
I can go next, Terry.
Okay.
Nothing is being altered or removed. We're just installing a solar panel shade structure.
That's it. Just the solar panel shade structure and the equipment on the side that I showed you, which is going to be a disconnect meter base and the small transformer, which are going to be on the alleyway to the west
Yeah.
side of the building.
Okay. Yeah, I don't have anything else, as long as, there's no trees being removed, they're not touching the building. I mean, apart from installing meters and stuff, I don't have any issues with this.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, Andrew?
Yeah, I do share Savannah's concern about the height. But I think we've kind of addressed it. I mean, I think you could also slide the parking space and the wheel stop back to be in line with the column and not change the structure, as long as you had a sufficient width of the parking access lane. So I don't know, I didn't see like all of that really dimensioned on a site plan, so it's a little hard to assess. Can you clarify what is on Jackson Street, what is your required setback and what are you proposing?
Sure. So the setback required is 20 feet from the edge of the sidewalk to the array. From the edge of the sidewalk to the array, we have, what they allow you.
Joe, the required setback is measured from property line. So, so the setback from the north property line, the required setback would be 20 feet.
Correct.
With a roof overhang that may extend up to 2 feet into the setback area as required per the UDC.
Okay. And Joe, do you know where the property line is on this layout that you're showing relative to any of the existing features?
Yes, sir. So you see where it says CMU wall?
Yep,
That concrete wall is the property line.
I gotcha. Okay.
So we are about equal with it, maybe a foot inside it. So that puts us at about 19 I'm sorry, 9 feet only from the edge of the street. Therefore, we don't meet that setback. And we were told the issue will be addressed at the DRB meeting and no need for the DDO.
Okay. From on a procedural note, Maria or Desiree, can PRS waive setbacks in this review like we can in HPZs, or is that a different process because it's not in an HPZ?
Mr. Christopher, Ms. Majeski, members of the PRS. The RNA, the Rio Nuevo area, includes a section related to setbacks, and I'm just going to read it for you. It says all new construction must be consistent with the prevailing setback existing within its development zone, except that the PDST director may approve a different setback from the prevailing setback upon a written finding during the review process that a different setback is warranted by site conditions or applicable development design goals. And the proposed setback will not be incompatible with adjacent properties. So yeah, and that's what the DRB indicated there. They were okay with the proposed setback. And if, the PRS also can issue a recommendation regarding the setback as it pertains to the compatibility with the adjacent historic fabric, right, in terms of context. And then it's up to the PDST director whether or not to allow that reduced setback through the RNA review process. Okay,
gotcha. And it looks like to me the prevailing setback is 0 generally in this area. So, okay, great. The two other points I guess I want to make is just that all exposed conduit that's on either the columns of the new structure or on the existing building, it looks like most of what's there is painted to match, but all the new stuff should be painted to match as well. So we can make that a condition. And then your site is in an archaeological sensitivity zone. So I'm wondering what sort of monitoring may be required, or if you are planning to do any monitoring when you drill for those new footings, because they're quite deep.
Sure, that would be onto our steel structure, so I can definitely ask Andrew and get back to you. I wasn't aware of this, but I definitely can ask and get back to you with an answer.
I can chime in a bit, Commissioner Christopher. So for projects, archaeological review is triggered when there's public funding involved generally. So if it's a city project, if there's federal funding, I don't believe that either of those are in this case. Correct me if I'm wrong, Maria or Joe. But I believe this is a private nonprofit, and are there any federal funds involved? And if that's the case, then we do go through a Section 106 review, and that's when kind of archaeology is looked at. But otherwise, it basically falls to the state law, which is that if there's any archaeological, specifically human remains, potential ancestors that are encountered, then construction needs to stop. But that's state law. But other than that, there wouldn't be any review unless, again, there's some kind of federal funds involved.
Okay. Joe, can you clarify that? Is all of this funding is coming from the Southern Arizona Arts Foundation, and that's all private funds?
100%.
Okay, very good. Alrighty, that's all I had. Thanks.
Okay, so if there are no other questions, Andrew, are you willing to make a motion? Or how are we going to deal with Savannah's concerns and your concerns about the height and so forth? What kind of recommendation will we make?
Well, can I just
No,
ahead, I'm sorry.
we're discussing the motion now. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Go ahead, Andrew.
I don't know. I think I would like to see the height brought down. But I think to really assess whether that's possible, we would need like a dimension site plan to see, you know, beyond just this exhibit that's being shown.
Well, we
How do
could
you-
express our concern and then leave it up to the director to decide, I guess. I mean, what else? Because we normally don't continue cases that are under this review type, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay. Okay. So I could say,
that makes sense to me. Yeah, I mean, it seems like if we can, I mean, I don't know. I don't want to like redesign it necessarily, but I don't know. It just seems like there are opportunities to study that would possibly get to the same panel count, but would reduce the height if you could keep it out of the PAL. I mean, I think I'd be willing to have reduced setbacks at like Scott, right? As long as it didn't interfere with the landscape, if it helped.
yeah. I mean, DRB likes to see like sidewalk shading too, so they need to get like a DTM permit, but theoretically that could overhang the sidewalk and shade the sidewalk.
Oh, and Jackson.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, you know,
I'd be
but
fine with that too.
so I'll just say it as like an alternative design should be explored that allows the height of the structure to be reduced, and just leave it kind of vague like
Sure,
that.
yeah, that sounds nice.
Yeah.
Okay. And then I'll say all new exposed conduits to be painted to match adjacent column or wall surface. And then we'll make a recommendation that we'll just call it a 0 setback, Joe, Jackson. So the proposed setback reduction on Jackson, is it Jackson Street?
Correct.
Yeah. On Jackson Street, from 20 feet to 0 feet is acceptable. Okay. Anything else to add?
No, I'm good with those things. What about the rest of you? Yes, you're good?
Okay. All right. On the matter of item 4A, SD 0326000045 / TCCOM 0226 at 130 South Scott Avenue, I recommend approval of the project as presented with the following conditions. 1, that an alternative design should be explored that allows the height of the structure to be reduced. 2, that all new exposed conduits should be painted to match the adjacent column or wall surface. And 3, that the proposed setback reduction on Jackson Street from 20 feet to 0 feet is acceptable.
Thank you. And who will second?
I'll second.
Okay, is there further discussion by PRS members of the motion? Okay, if not, I'll call roll. Terry votes aye. Andrew?
Aye.
Savannah?
Aye.
Joel? Blake?
Aye.
Great, so it passes 5-0. Joe, do you have any questions about the next steps?
No, I guess I have to explore the height of the array with engineering, with the city, to see what
Well,
else can be done.
Well, I think ours is one recommendation. How does this work, Maria? Does the planning director make a decision?
Ms. Majeski, members of the PRS, I'm sorry, Zoom kicked me out in the middle of the motion. I just came in, so I missed the motion. I apologize. But yeah, the one that makes the final decision is the PDSD director.
So, and well, Blake, do you want to, I mean, Andrew, do you want to just quickly summarize for Maria? Because we want her to hear it.
Sorry.
Yeah, the way that the motion reads is pretty open, but it says that an alternative design should be explored that allows the height of the structure to be reduced. So we'll kind of leave it up to the applicant on, or if that becomes a condition, we'll leave it up to the applicant on, you know, what methods they pursue to be able to reduce that.
Yeah, so Mr. Christopher, Ms. Majeski, members of the PRS, yeah, I would arrange for a meeting with Joe and probably engineering and zoning as well, and Desiree to be present and explore if there's any options for any form of reduction of the height, and go from there. But ultimately would be up to the PDSD director.
And so, Maria, Andrew can, when he sends me and Desiree his written motion, he can copy you. So you see, because
Please.
there were two other things, one thing about the setback and then about the connections, right, Andrew?
Yeah, yep. So
Yeah.
I'll send this off right now and you're copied, Maria.
Okay,
Okay.
great. Thank you so
All right.
much.
Well, thank you very much, everyone, and good luck with the project, and hope something can be done with that height. So, all right, we'll move on then to, you can share your screen, Joe, if you'd like. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Item 4B is SD 0326-00043 /TC-RES-0126-00462. This is at 5440 East Fort Lowell Road. And Jason is the person, the staff contact. Jason, could you give us some background, please?
Sure thing. Good afternoon, Chair and members of the subcommittee. So this is a proposal to construct a ramada behind the main building and install a driveway gate. This is a contributing non-historic resource in the Fort Lowell Historic Preservation Zone, built circa 1998. On March 23rd, 2026, Fort Lowell HPZ recommended to approve with the following conditions: that the rafter tails of the ramada match existing porch rafter tails, and for the applicant to consider utilizing latillas or ocotillo at the top of the ramada. And the last condition is that the reconsideration of the driveway gate be a minor review and be more in line with the development zone. Bob Lanning is the architect for this, and Ann Jordan, I believe, is the owner. They are both in attendance. And you should already be a co-host, Bob, so you can share when you're ready.
Jason, did you say
Yes.
that Ann Jordan was the owner?
That is correct.
Okay, thank you.
Hello, Bob Lanning here. Stephen Curtis here as well in this office. And we'll go through this project. Basically, as Jason mentioned, it's two parts. It's a 1998 residence on East Fort Lowell. And it's a ramada at the rear of the residence and the entry gate at the front of the residence. So I guess we'll start with the ramada. Oh, and here are photographs we can all see. Here's the development zone with contributing properties. Here are photographs of contributing properties in the development zone. Here are existing site photos. And then let's keep on going. There's the aerial photograph. And here is our a portion of our site plan, and then where the cursor is right now, that's what we're going to focus on first, which would be a new shade ramada located to the east, or excuse me, the south of the existing residence. So the shade ramada would be wood in nature, and it would be, I guess and it's 11 feet tall, and it's in plan, it's 14 by 14, and it would consist of rough sawn wood posts and curved corbels, decorative rafter tails, and basically beams up above it, 6 by 12 beams, and then joists above that, which would be rough sawn 2 by 8s. And on top of that would be 2 by 4s as a kind of a pergola element laid flat. And those 2 by 4s on top of the whole ramada would be at 18 inches, or excuse me, 8 inches on center. And so the idea for this is to provide some dappled sunlight, dappled shade out there in a dining area. So it's immediately off the screen porch and the kitchen. And actually, can we go back to that one photograph up right? The photograph on the left right here, top left, that is the area, those two photos there, that's the area where this shade ramada is going to sit. So it's a freestanding shade ramada just to provide a nice spot for outdoor dining and relaxation. Again, the whole thing is at the rear of the existing structure. Then you can see over on the right hand, there's an existing porch. And even though this porch is not historic, the house was built in '98, we did think that some elements on the porch were worth consideration and alluding to with this new construction. So that's where we came up with that idea of the curved corbels. And then we had slightly different rafter tail cuts on ours than on these, but we're happy to do it this way if that seems to be what people prefer in this. Let's see what else. I guess that
Talk about the gate.
now I guess we can move to the front is the gate. So the gate is
Go ahead. Go ahead.
oh, sorry. Oh, okay. So in the front of the parcel, there is a drive, and it goes between the creosote, pretty heavily creosote vegetation, and the drive goes up the vegetation and into the front court drive by the house itself. And our goal is to put up a gate that's on a steel gate that's on an electric closure, and it would be basically to keep cars or vehicles from entering except for the owners. We don't have additional fence materials proposed at all. It's literally a gate, and it's a steel post at each, a 6x6 rusted steel post at each side of the gate, and then a single pair of hinges, and the whole gate is 14 feet wide and 5 feet tall, and it would just swing one way to open to allow, and they'd have clickers in their cars. There'd not be a keypad. That somebody brought up a keypad at the other meeting. There would not be a keypad. It's just literally this right here. The whole thing would be rusted steel, and we felt like the rusted steel was a nice sort of juxtaposition to other things that are going on in the development zone. So, and we can also weather the steel extensively if need be, if it needs to look even more rustic. And that's it.
Okay, I have a question. So how did you discuss with them, Bob, their suggestion that you use latillas or ocotillo at the top of the ramada?
Well, they made a suggestion because they flat out said they've never seen this before. And that's not really what they ought to be saying, in my opinion. They ought to be saying, does this feel like it in some ways contributes to or is in collaboration with what's existing? But we're not going to do latillas or anything of the sort. We're proposing what we have here. So it's going to be all exposed to the sun. We don't want to do latillas up there. Now, I realize that there are latillas on inside ceilings all over the place. Matter of fact, I've designed them myself, but who puts latillas in the sun? Who does that? You know, we're not going to do that. So.
Okay, and then my other question is that why were they wanting to do a minor review on the gate? So that, what were their ideas for the gate as opposed to your ideas? I'm just curious because it wasn't clear in their comments.
They want their idea of matching is to match exactly and not just contribute to. So they basically said, we've never seen this gate. Why don't you do a gate like this? And they showed us an old wood 1892 gate. And they said, why don't you do that? And we don't want to do a wood gate. And then they said, well, why don't you make it out of steel then? And you can't make a steel gate look like a wood gate. It's just not possible. So we, in a moment of discussion with them, they were basically ready to reject it. Even though I don't think there's any grounds to reject it whatsoever, this is my opinion. But they said it needs to be identical to a gate that already exists in the development zone. And this particular gate does not exist in the development zone. So they don't like the idea of something being different, apparently. What is in their development zone, ironically, is a chain link fence gate and also a corrugated steel gate, neither of which we're proposing here. So I think this is, as a rusted steel gate, is perfectly acceptable in a situation like this. So
Okay,
I
well,
can,
go
Chair
ahead, go ahead,
Majewski, if I
Joseph.
could just kind of elaborate a bit on the Fort Lowell conversation since you asked about it. So a couple things. One, they were actually going to continue the case, and so Mr. Lanning kind of asked, instead of continuing it and kind of extending the review another month, right? Understandably, would they be open to a minor review? And we've done that before, right? You all will sometimes request certain things come back as a minor review. So that was agreed upon at that meeting. However, we still want to hear, your feedback on the gate at this point. But they did request that kind of be separated out as a minor review to come back. And then I will also say, just with other reviews at Fort Lowell, and they also went through their recent update to their design guidelines. They specifically, and I realize this is ornamental rusted steel, but they do specifically call out that corrugated metal or solid sheet metal fences are not acceptable. And I have seen that come up in other reviews. So it's consistent with other input and feedback that they've been giving recently, and that is in their, their design guidelines.
Yeah. I mean, this would be an open fence. We're not proposing, it's not backed by any sheet metal whatsoever.
yeah, these are 2-inch by 2-inch steel posts and rails around this gate, and then 3/4-inch square pickets. So it's completely open and visible through it. It's not corrugated at all.
Yeah. And potentially, like, do you have maybe a product, maybe a colored rendering or product or something like that could potentially help maybe distinguish or, show more of what's being proposed, just as a thought.
I don't know what, I mean, it's rusted steel, so we all know what that color is. The one thing I will say is the steel manufacturer or installer did say we could add those little, I don't even know what you call them, little detail work along those interior 3/4-inch by 3/4-inch posts. You can kind of see it if you blow it up a little bit, but
They're offset a little bit on each from row to row, aren't they?
yeah. And so
Yeah,
those
I
give
can
it a
see
little
'em.
bit of a decorative element, and at the end of the day, the whole thing, 100% of it is rusted steel, which is that dark rust color. So there you can kind of see them a little bit better.
Yeah, well, what I suggest to the PRS members, if you feel strong, if we're all okay with the gate, then I say we say that, and then we leave it up to the director to decide if there'll be a minor review or not. Because did Fort Lowell not understand that this wasn't a solid backed gate, or I'm not really sure.
I
I'm not
think
really sure.
some of the comments, and Bob and Jason, feel free to chime in, were what I recall. They like the kind of natural look, like the Latias, Ocotillo fences. They mentioned those materials. I don't know if there were other ideas, but those are the ones that I remembered that they preferred, right? And that's their opinion. But yeah, I don't know if you all have other thoughts.
But I don't, I personally don't feel that this type of gate would be incompatible with the contributing non-historic. But I want the other PRS members to weigh in. I personally am fine with if the ramada, the rafter tails match the existing porch rafter tails, fine. But I agree that using latillas or a cotilla at the top of the ramada or not, it's in the back. It's not original to the building. It doesn't detract, in my opinion, but I'd be happy to hear what others say. So who's next with comments? We'll go around the table.
I'll go. And I agree with you, Terry, and all the questions you asked were the ones that I was gonna ask. So thank you. I think it's fine if we can kind of match their recommendation for the rafter tails to match. I think that would be nice, but I don't feel really strongly about it. I like what's proposed too. I guess my only question on the ramada is the wood painted? What is the proposed finish and color and that kind of?
We were just trying to match what's existing. So it's a stained, it's because it's
Okay.
rough on, it's stained with a kind of a rustic color.
Is it like the existing porch?
Yeah, I think that's a little too red. I don't think that's exactly what the like. I think it just that photograph might be oversaturated or something, but along these lines of it looks a little bit
Closer to this one, maybe. Which is right next to it. This existing post and beam back there on that screen porch is right literally, 10 feet away. So
What I'm not sure what you're pointing to.
Oh,
But-
it's just this view here on the
The view of the porch,
the
the
right
farther
there.
away view.
Yeah.
It'll look more
Yeah.
like that. Okay. And they're wood 2x4s as the surface and not is still the proposed.
At the top surface,
Deck.
yes.
Yeah. And that's that's kind of the same color or like.
Yeah, all the same color.
Okay.
Did everyone see Ann
Fine.
Jordan's comment? We have the same paint we want to use to paint with, so all painted things.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, my only concern is it's just not going to last super long in the sun. So painting it sounds good. Give it a
It'll
little
fade
more
together.
time. What's that?
It'll fade consistently together, all the different surfaces.
It will fade, yes, but there's something to that as well. And as far as the gate goes, I also think it's fine and it's good. I guess my question there was in your contributing properties photos, there's maybe the first one, it looks like there is like an wrought iron gate. I don't know if that's this property or another property, but yeah, if you zoom into that one, is that a gate of someone's?
Are you talking about this gate right here?
Yeah. I'm just looking precedent wise. Is that nearby? That looks to be a wrought iron gate, right?
Yeah, this is 5349 East Fort Lowell. Yeah. I mean, it's a wrought iron gate.
Yeah, I think that one's right across the street from us, or like maybe diagonal.
Is
So
that
it's not true that you're doing the first one.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hi, Elaine Hill is here from Old Fort Lowell. I'd like to comment when it's appropriate.
Okay, well, I was just messaging you. I'd like to get the discussion done, and then unless PRS members you want to hear, because there was the time for submitting public comments, Elaine, and you didn't. So are you okay with Elaine commenting? PRS members?
Okay, sure.
Just
think
be
maybe
very
at the
brief,
end.
Elaine. Yeah, at the end of our
Yeah.
discussion before we make a motion. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. That was all I had.
Yeah.
Thank you guys. I think you guys did a great, set of drawings presentation. So thank you.
Okay, who's next?
I'll go
Joel
next.
or Andrew or Blake?
I don't have a problem with this. I think that you guys are fine. The structure behind the house being behind the house, right? We're looking for predominantly things that are visible from the road. And obviously you want to design and build something that is going to last and not start rotting away from the sun damage within 5 years of it being installed. I think that's okay. I think the wrought iron gate is just fine. I think you guys have done a good job. because, I think the objections to it being a corrugated or metal backed gate at all, right, is more about the obstruction of views in and around the neighborhood than anything else. So I think that that's fine the way that you guys have it. You guys did a good job.
Okay. Andrew?
Sure. Yeah, I'll go. Just to clarify, we are still operating under the 2004 Fort Lowell design guidelines, correct? The new ones have not been adopted formally.
That's correct.
Okay. So yeah, I was just looking. The new design guidelines are really extensive, which is great, because there are a lot of the current ones we're working with are pretty brief and don't discuss a lot of these topics. So hopefully with the new ones, there'll be less ambiguity. But it does, looking at like fences, it does say under enclosures, it says fences, walls, or other physical features used to enclose open space or provide privacy must be compatible with the architectural style of the subject structure and the historic character of the development zone. Generally, adobe, stone, stuccoed masonry, ocotillo, and wrought iron are acceptable. So to me, I think you've met all the requirements for that fence, and I don't think it needs to go through minor review. I'm fine with it as it is. The Ramada looks good to me. It's compatible with the existing house. The height of it is below the height of the residence, and it's not really visible from the public right of way. So I don't see any issue with what you propose there either. And I think my feeling would be to approve this as presented unless anybody would like to add conditions.
Okay, so we should decide if we recommend matching the existing porch rafter tails or not. I mean, if not, that's something that was in their motion, but then that can be decided by the director if that's decided, correct?
Yeah, so on your plan it says decorative corbel to match existing. So you're doing some of that. The profile of the rafters is a little different, but it's still a shape profile. So I think it's compatible with what you have. It's just not matching exactly.
Yeah,
So yeah.
So it's a little more ornate than what's out there.
Yeah. So to me, the compatibility requirement has been met. I don't think it needs to match exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree with that. I agree with Andrew. Yeah.
Okay, so that's your comments, Joel. You agree?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. So I think let's listen to Elaine really briefly, and then we'll go ahead and make a motion. Whoever's ready to do that, be ready. Okay, Elaine?
Yeah, I just want to add a comment. I don't think there was a lot of controversy about the Ramada. I think that one person was recommending that to step back a little bit from the structure of this towards something a little more casual. But I think that was one person on the board. The fence, the gate itself, it's not that we appreciate that it's transparent and that it's wrought iron, and that matches both the old and new guidelines. The point made was that most of the other gates in this region and in that particular, in order to preserve the appearance of desert and landscape on that property, to ask them to consider something a little more Western looking, something that looked a little more like a ranch gate. There are several examples in the neighborhood that we can show them. And that this one looked, because especially with the divots, it looks very formal. It looks more like the entrance. Someone said the entrance to an HOA. Someone else said suggest something like an elementary school. So in this region, it's not like downtown, and it's not that we're opposed to change or modernizing anything. It's that it needs to be more compatible with the development zone. It's also right next to the officers' quarters, the historic property, the Fort Lowell Park. If this were ever to be extended to become a fence, it would look much more formal than anything around it.
Okay, thank you, Elaine. Okay, commissioners, do we want to discuss this further, or are we ready for a motion?
I can make a motion.
Okay.
You guys are ready?
Yeah.
All right. On the matter of SD-032/-TC-RES-1, 0126-00462 at 5440 East Fort Low Road, I move to recommend approval of the project as presented.
Okay, is there a second?
This is Blake,
I'll-
second.
Okay, Blake, thank you. Is there further discussion of the motion? Okay, if not, Terry votes aye. Savannah,
Aye.
Joel,
Aye.
Blake,
Aye.
Andrew.
Aye.
Great, so the motion passes 5-0 and so Bob, you understand the next steps clearly, right?
Yes,
Okay, so good luck with the project.
thank you very much.
Okay, sure, thank you. Okay, item 4C is SD 0326-0038/TC-RES-0326-01098. And this is at 720 South 3rd Avenue. And I believe that is it. Jason, you are the staff contact on this one. So please provide us some background.
Sure thing. Thank you, Chair and members of the subcommittee. So this is a proposed project. It is 801 square foot accessory dwelling unit. The proposed design is a simple gable roof with exposed rafter tails. The structure is to be wood framed and clad in white stucco. Wood windows and doors and a gray standing seam metal roof are proposed. Solar devices to be installed on the southern roof pane. This is a contributing resource in the Armory Park HBZ and in the National Register Historic District. It is a one-story structure built circa 1907, but this proposed ADU will be a non-contributing resource. At the March 17, 2026 Armory Park HBZ meeting, recommendation was for approval as presented. This concludes my presentation. The designer, the architect, Miles Pena, is here, and I'll allow him to go ahead and present, and you should be able to share your screen, Miles.
Okay, and I wanted to point out to everyone that on the staff report for this, the staff findings were that the proposed work conforms with the applicable preservation standards with the exception of the roof type and windows/doors. So we may want to just pay close attention to that.
I'm still unable to present.
Okay, 1 second. Let me go back. I gave you
I
permission.
just made him co-host.
Okay, you should now.
All right, is everybody able
There it
to
comes
see
out.
this? Great, thank you. So this project started with a different architect who was referencing there was a former Chinese historic grocery property down across the street, and they were using that as their precedent sort of research. But the Armory Park Board was not favorable of that design, and I think at that point the architect was too busy to continue, and they seemed happy with another project that I presented 2 doors down from this. So I carried forward with a very similar ethos on this project in terms of doing something that felt very appropriate for the neighborhood, very simple and restrained, just with a sense of kind of rigor to the overall layout. Let's see here. So in terms of the original house, it is a 1907 Queen Anne. So let me just pull up. So here you can see from the historic reports here, this was the documented photo of the house, largely gable and hip roof sort of mixed with these vents, kind of a nice porch. It's a brick structure that has been painted since. In terms of where we are located in the district, we are just off of 3rd and 17th, and then there's access from Railroad Avenue to the back here. So overall, it's a fairly large lot. The owner wanted to kind of tuck the ADU in the back corner of the lot here. So you'll see some additional kind of elevations just studying what that looks like from Railroad. But in terms of the impact on the front of the house and the main access on South 3rd, it's extremely minimal. Looking at what was sort of driving, some of the design decisions here, most of these houses do have a little bit more kind of ornamentation happening, but you'll see in a lot of the kind of newer additions and still within the neighborhood, there are these examples of more simple, these non-contributing structures. But I think that was important to me in terms of not trying to just make this look like it was an original historic building, but again, something that just would fit in nicely. So here's the current state of the house. There is a previous permit and scope of work that is occurring currently for renovating what used to be a back porch and was converted to an addition at one point, and they are now renovating that scope of work. Here is the existing project site, so you can see the existing fence and gate. They're kind of using this for parking right now, and this is the proposed location for the ADU. In terms of the overall height and kind of shaping of the building, really started with trying to kind of use some of the proportions of the existing house. So this wing in particular, off of the north side of the building, we used that as a starting point, matched the roof pitch for that portion of the house as well. And then height was kind of a big thing. I think in the last iteration, it was a very boxy structure. So the gable has definitely helped reduce the visual impact, and spent a lot of time studying what was around in the neighborhood and making sure that we are, lower than the existing home. Let's see here. In terms of that exterior presence, so here you can kind of get a sense of how that ADU is kind of impacting the scale of the adjacent properties. You get a sense of what is visible, and really just that peak, since it is a distance back, is just very, very visible. And I kind of think once you actually include more of the real plantings that are there, it becomes very minimal. Here you can kind of see this small portion of the porch in the back. Stylistically, again, very simple. The house has kind of the access from the north, with a covered porch that is characteristic of the neighborhood. Here we do have the exposed rafter tails. On the main roof, we are adding a fascia. That was what was presented at the last historic meeting. That was the owner's preference, and this is also commonly found within the neighborhood. And because we are doing a vaulted ceiling here, we are doing some ventilation on top of our roof deck and insulation, so that will kind of provide a little bit more cover visually from the small sort of ventilation channel that'll be happening in between each of the rafter bays. From Railroad, this is what is visible. So again, existing fence and gate. So here you can kind of see how it blends in with the existing houses. Looking at the other angle, you can just get a sense of the impact for that from the alley. Now, it was passed without any conditions. I think the concern around windows was one, replicating what would typically be an attic vent, but instead doing that sort of as a window. But they ultimately were okay with that. There also was concern around doing these clear story windows up high on the south wall here. We'll look at the interior layout, but just for the interior layout, this made a lot of sense. And these are tucked up high enough and studied with the overhang in order to prevent, direct solar gain in the summer. In terms of utilities and everything like that, everything is really focused on the south wall. So it's a very functional part of the building that is kind of meant to keep everything else off of, having a visual impact. And you can see the addition of the solar on the roof here. The other concern was the client has a strong preference for a standing seam metal roof, which again, there's lots of precedent for in the neighborhood. The existing home is an asphalt shingle roof, but made the justification that with the separation it's the adjacent properties are closer to this house than the ADU, and so visually it felt coherent. In terms of those clear stories, there's lots of precedents. I mean, just next door, there's an ADU that was constructed that has, in my opinion, a much more offensive presentation of windows that was approved. In the historic portions, there are these sort of high openings, literally right across Railroad. There is this home here doing something similar. And then there's also these moments of windows, having the high windows where the attic vents are located as well. So I think for those reasons, they ended up approving without any conditions. So in terms of finishes, it's a white smooth stucco with an integrated color. We're going to use the exact same that was approved and is used for the renovation on the back. Sorry, I should take this out. That was from a previous design iteration where we had a wall-based sort of detail, but that went away. So the exterior is all smooth stucco. The owner is proposing a Tucson teal for color update, so any accent colors on the porch and exposed wood. And then this is an example of the Western Lock standing seam metal roof that meets the cool roof requirements and is a light gray. In terms of doors and windows, there was no issues with the types of the front door or most of the windows. We still are to be decided on the door manufacturer, or sorry, the window manufacturers, but we are currently matching what was used in the renovation, but the quality honestly is not as nice as you would expect. And there's a few windows on the main house that she has hired a carpenter to professionally recreate and redo. And so I think the current plan at the time is to use Sam to actually manufacture all of the double hung windows.
And they're wood, Miles?
Correct. Yeah. Hemlock. In terms of the site plan, this is a little different than the package that you've seen, just because this has been updated to meet the new landscaping requirements that were just passed, and also the addition of the accessible walkway. But you can see in red the property line. And so let's go here. We have a 9-foot setback on the south side, a 6-foot setback on the west. And then solar on the south. All of our utilities are located here. When the owner knew that they were going to do this ADU when they were going in for the last permit, so they proposed to update the panels here, but TEP rejected that at that time. So there's a power pole here, and that ADU that I showed is located right here. They're pulling power from this power line on Railroad. So we're proposing to do the same thing. And we do have the new address as Unit 2 for the property. In terms of the landscaping requirements, the new updates really aren't, this client really isn't the client that's intended to be captured in this. She's planning on spending a lot of time over the year after this is constructed, updating the landscape, but to meet the bare requirements, the existing areas in the front are above and beyond what is minimum, and then a new velvet mesquite cover tree is proposed centered in between the ADU and the home. And then the addition of all of the notes that she's acting as owner builder. So I made sure she reviewed all of these, and she's going to be aware that these for the accessible walkway and the landscape notes that she will have to meet all of those requirements. In terms of layout, it's a very simple setup where you enter just slightly off center. There's these 6 bays that really establish the rhythm with the windows centered between the column porches. You have a kitchen when you come in, the living room off of that. Bath is sort of centered and acts to block off to separate the sleeping area from the kitchen and living room area. There is a stair that is meeting the ship's ladders requirements because there's a mezzanine up above. And so that code path allowed us to just make use of a little bit of that height and have a little extra space for the owner to have storage or whatever they want to do. But all of those requirements for the ship's ladder are met here in this building section. I think what else? Here's some of the views of the interior. So when you enter in, continuing to use wood shelving and wood doors in the interior, there's exposed rafters that are setting kind of a nice visual rhythm within the space. Here you can see the proposed mezzanine that's sort of sitting on top of these exposed rafters. View from the bedroom into that closet, so that we're calling it a ship's ladder, but really it's a very protected, easy to use means of vertical transportation here, and then the loft area. But yeah, I think with that, I'll take any questions.
Okay, before I call on PRS members, Miles, I just want to tell you that the reason I was asking about the review by the advisory board in the historic preservation zone is that their recommendation is independent from ours, but we like to understand it and take it into consideration. I also wanted to, note what the staff findings were on this project. So, and we will also make a recommendation, and those recommendations will go to the planning director, who will make a decision on the project, is my understanding. So, I just want to say that, so I assume that staff were saying that the standing seam roof they don't feel it conforms. Is that true, Desiree or Jason? Is
Yeah.
that what it is?
This is Jason. What I'd say is the standing seam metal roof is not typical in the development zone. These are historic structures, and typically, or on average, these homes are using shingles. So that's why it was noted that it does not conform.
Yeah. And then what issue did you have with the doors?
It would be the windows. So on the south elevation, these are horizontally oriented windows. And if you could go to an elevation drawing to see the south elevation, you see this is on the upper story is a loft, as he called it. So again, a development zone, district contributing structures are vertically oriented, not horizontally oriented. So that's something else that needs to be kept in mind. Also, too, I should ask the question: are these flush mounted, or are these going to be inset and recessed, like the contributing structures and the development zone and the structure in front of it? So that was the other reason why it was noted as does not conform.
Yeah, so I would suggest that for the staff findings, you say explicitly what it is, so we don't have to have detailed interrogations on what you meant by that. So
sure, not a problem. I could do that for the future summaries.
Yeah, that'd be great. And it's just because we're interested in what you have to say about that. So who would like to begin with comments?
I'll start. That's pretty typical. Great set of drawings, very thoughtful design. Miles, I think everything looks good. I thought it looked a little tall, just proportion wise, but now that I understand the section and the mezzanine, it's actually as modest as it can be to kind of meet those programmatic requirements. Yeah, I thought maybe the hesitation with the roof was that it was a gable, not a hip, but I like the gable. I think the roof proportions, or sorry, the window proportions are acceptable for the case and the design of this ADU and its design intent. So my question, so sorry, going back, I keep switching back and forth. Back to the roof, the color of the deck, is it intended to match the color on the original house's shingles? Like that'll be as matchy as possible? Okay. So it's what it looked like, but I just wanted to confirm.
The photo here of this contributing building in the district is very similar. I think there's also a push just because we are doing kind of a ventilated cavity above insulation, that managing the ventilation at the ridge will be easier with the metal than with the shingles.
Yeah. No, I think the material is fine. No, I don't have anything else. I think it's great. I learned that Benjamin Moore has a color called Tucson teal. That's special for us.
Yeah, big news.
I
I thought
noticed
that was
that
really
too.
funny.
Okay, who's next?
I'll go next, Terry.
Okay.
I agree with everything that Savannah had to say, as per usual. Um, my question is, you mentioned that it not only meets but exceeds the landscape requirements for this neighborhood. I was wondering what those requirements were and what it was that was being proposed that exceeded landscape requirements.
Sure. So with the new, it was just adopted on January 1st. So this is kind of new for me, and I don't even think that's been formally published. We got kind of a bootleg copy, and that's all also disappeared. So thankfully, I saved it. I did send the site plan over to Joanna at the city to give an informal review to make sure we're meeting the requirements, and she found it sufficient. So in terms of excess, there's a requirement for vegetated ground cover areas, and it's based on your street frontage. So for this property, we have a 60-foot street frontage, and you multiply it by 5. That's the multiplier given by the city. So we have a 300 square foot ground cover requirement in the front setback. So with the existing areas, we have a 93 square foot area in front of the house that is already populated with plants. We have this sort of swale that's 129 square feet, and then we have 192 square feet that's vegetated ground cover, kind of this circle around this existing mesquite. And so that gives us,
Sure. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, 414 square feet, so over the 300 requirement. And then with the single family, you now have to have 1 tree per 1,000 square foot of addition. And so generally they want that in the front setback, but that's not a requirement for the ADUs.
Sure.
And we already have two trees here, so our 1 tree is here, but
Well,
she also, at least as a starting point, wants to add a shrub, Arizona rosewood here. There's a very nice existing eucalyptus, and then there's a row of 3 existing mesquites here. So I think my interpretation is overall, it's just the goal to help Tucson meet their tree increase.
yeah.
And so, and the owner has additional plans for additional Palo Verdes in the future, but I think I didn't want to push her into having to hire a landscape architect to get all of this figured out right now. So we're
Sure.
just showing the minimums here.
Well, as a landscape architect, I totally understand that. I
Sorry.
think this is great. No, and I appreciate your explanation, and that's all I got. Thank you.
Yeah. Well, Blake, I just wanted to mention that you might want to talk to HLS and be sure that you guys are aware of these new things that are coming down from
Yeah.
the city. Would have
I
been
was just
nice
thinking
if
that too.
HLS had some feedback on it, but oh well, now we know about it. See
Yeah.
what you can see. Yeah. So
Thanks, Terry.
okay, who's next?
I'll
This
go.
Joel,
Go
I
ahead.
agree with all the comments that have been made. So
Okay.
not
Thanks.
much more to
Thanks, Joel.
say. Thank you.
Okay, Andrew, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no, all good. Yeah, this is really great. It's a really thoughtful design. Your renderings are beautiful, by the way, so congratulations. And that it really helps give us a full picture of the project above and beyond what's required. So thank you. Couple questions. Are you requesting any setback waivers? No.
No.
Okay, so this is all within the prescribed setbacks. Okay.
Correct.
On the if you can go to the I guess west, is that the west elevation? The or sorry, the bottom left one. My orientation's mixed. Okay, so you are showing a water heater there. So all of that, all your mechanical equipment is mounted to the wall, and that's all below the height of the existing fence, correct?
Correct.
Great.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and there's a shower window here, and they generally prefer the double hung, but here they were okay with a casement window because it's also behind that fence line there.
Cool. And then there's solar shown here, but just to be clear, we're not reviewing solar as part of this application. Is that correct? Or are you intending to do solar immediately when
No,
you build this?
It says here solar devices to be installed the southern roof pane. So it is in the blurb, so it must be on the application.
Okay.
Is it staff? Is that true? Desiree or Jason?
Jason, do you have an answer?
I'm sorry, could you repeat the question?
Yeah, so the question was, are we reviewing the solar? And it's in the blurb underneath the listing for the project. So are we reviewing the solar here?
Yes, that is correct.
Okay,
Okay. And
thank
those
you.
are flush mount panels, basically.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay, cool. The only other question I had was on, it looks like the front entry is raised a bit. Is that a step up, or are you putting a ramp or anything for an accessible entrance?
Yeah, so basically in order to get up to that porch, this is sort of the point I just notated it for her. There's a ton of these pretty nice boulders actually on site currently. And the owner understands that they will need to meet the requirements in order to kind of do some earthwork to contour up. And so this is sort of the point that will meet the 1 to 20. In order to maintain access from the parking area. But the intention here is that there is a under a 1/4 inch gap between the pavers and the porch.
Okay, cool. So it's all just an earthwork solution. There's no built. All right, great. Yeah, no, this looks great to me. Really, really thoughtful design. So thanks.
Yeah, thank
Okay,
you so
so
much.
if there's no other questions or comments, is everyone okay with the standing seam metal roof? I'm not crazy about it, but the rest of you seem to like it, so
Yeah, it's fine. It's found in the development zone, I guess.
yeah,
So
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. So, okay, so who is ready to make a motion?
I can do it. An easy
Okay,
one.
thank you.
On the matter of SD-032/038/TC-RES-0326-01098 at 720 South 3rd Avenue, I move to recommend approval of the project as presented.
Okay, is there a second?
Yeah, I'll second.
Okay, thank you. All right, is there further discussion? Okay, if not, I'll call roll. Terry votes aye. Andrew?
Aye.
Joel?
Aye. Can you hear me?
Savannah? Yeah, I can. Joel, Savannah,
Aye.
and Blake.
Aye.
Great, it passes 5-0. And Miles, are you you're familiar with the next steps in the process, right? So if
Correct,
not,
yeah.
you can communicate with Jason or Desiree. So thank you very much and good luck with the project.
Thank you.
I'll be in touch. I'll send an email after this meeting to you.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
No,
Okay, very good. Okay, we'll move on to item 4D. Hold on just 1 second. I need to make a note to myself. Okay, 4D, and that is SD 0825-00128/TC-MDP 0625-00377 at 102 East Speedway. And Desiree, you are the staff contact on this one. Could you provide background?
Yes. So this item was continued from your December 9th, 2025 meeting, and it had already gone to West University as well. This proposed project is for the construction of a new duplex using a duplex model plan on a vacant lot. It's a 1-story, 2,156 square foot structure. It has stucco exterior walls, sand finish, a pitch roof with gray asphalt shingles, wood-clad single-hung windows, and a wood-clad paneled front door with 6 lights. So there were several in your motion that you made. I guess it was on January 8th, 2026. I'm sorry. So on the motion that you made at your January 8th meeting, you had the following comments: to add a front porch to each unit consistent with the development zone and design guidelines, to locate the HVAC units to the rear of the roof to screen from the front, to correct the window lintel header heights to be consistent all around the building, to add protruding window sills and consider adding express lintels at all openings consistent with the development zone, and to provide elevations of proposed fencing. So the applicant has revised the plans and is here today to present to you the revision. So I will hand it over to Alex Enoch.
Hey guys. So as you mentioned, we do have 4 comments that we needed to address today. Is my screen sharing yet? Let me share my
You
screen.
should be able to, yes.
Take over. All right. So the comments that we had was 1, add the front porch. The front porch that we added, we try to keep it minimal because we're kind of finding lot conditions on this project. Let's see if I, oops, I went out there. Where'd you go? I'm close, I'm gonna step down. There we go. All right, so this is the duplex we're proposing. And the porches that we added were right in the 20-foot setback zone. And so we needed to keep it minimal. So we just popped out in front of the doorway and the windows. And so what that entails is just 3 posts that we proposed that are only 3 feet out. And so again, it's just keeping it real minor. There's 1 here, there's 1 here, trying to keep as much space in front of the lot that we can. The other comment that we had was, go back to the comments at the beginning. Locate the HVAC to the rear of the roof. So this one was a little complicating, just strictly because it's minimal in width. And one of the issues when you put roof mount units is as soon as I get closer than 10 feet, I have to have a guardrail. And we're trying not to get that guardrail added because of course that'd be ugly to place in there. So the original design had the units, I'm gonna go to the roof plan here, had the units kind of on the peak. So I had them right here. And so now I've shifted back as much as I possibly can and rotated it to where it's minimum 10 feet away so I don't have to add the guardrails. And so, and then it dropped it down like a foot and a half. So you still see them from the front, but as you can see, it kind of hides them a little bit here. It's not as noticeable as it once was. My argument on this would just strictly be that in this zone, there's a ton of homes that have units on their roofs all over the place. And so we're not the first one to recommend it. And so we're just wanting to try to conceal it and comply as much as possible. I mean, they're all over in everybody's roof. And so that would be that argument for that one if we have to try to go with it. Then the last comment. Add protruding window sills, consider adding, and then proposed fencing. So the windows, they were actually already recessed. I guess it's just not clear enough on the plans. And so what I did is I went ahead and added notation on my window schedule, just saying 2-inch recessed. And then for you guys, I went ahead and dropped in my standard architectural details, which typically you don't drop in these things. But this shows them as recessed as well. And so we'll gain that 2 inches that we need. And then the final comment was just the question of the fencing and what we're doing. I've now modeled that out inside the render so you can see what we're proposing, where it's half stucco, half wrought iron, and then it's stucco columns in between. This is the look that we're going for. The fencing itself, what it does is it follows this line here on the south edge all the way along the west side. and then it stops up against a solid wall up on the north side. Now, I know one of the comments before Desiree mentioned, we got this conditionally approved last time, but just to bring it up, is you guys don't allow a full solid CMU wall, but the conditional approval is strictly just because this is a speedway to help mitigate a lot of the noise that comes off of that, as well as privacy, because a lot of just bad people around that area. We want to keep it solid here, so that way they don't have eyes and think they can do something inside this owner's property. And this is set back from the actual property line as well by 13 feet to keep it closer away from speedway as well. But then this fence, the actual fence specs, I've added at the very end of my submittal here. So I show it to you as well. This guy. It's literally just your standard wrought iron fence where there's just 4-inch balusters, and that's the end of it. There's nothing special that they're trying to do with it. So we're just trying to keep it minimal because it's only half of the wall. So it'll still get, and then we have the middle masonry post that we're doing that's at like every 15 on center on the lot. So that's what we're looking to do for the fence. Otherwise, that's the 4 comments. And this was the kind of what I gave originally that someone did in the area as well. Kind of matching that. Only difference will be ours will have little semi masonry piers that go up the full height at every 15 feet. But otherwise, that's the comments that you guys had, and that's how we addressed them. So let me know if you have any questions.
Okay, thank you. We'll go ahead with questions. Who would like to start? Savannah? Are you still there?
I am. I was trying to like not always be the first. I see the porches. Okay, the box is checked. Understand what you say about the HVAC units. Okay. Window heights to be consistent. I'm not sure you mentioned it, but I do see that in the elevations now. But I think they were kind of.
It was a drafting error one time because I had these windows like 4 inches lower, and somehow I missed it. Didn't have them at the right height, but I adjusted it. Yeah, one of those.
Yeah. Okay. I see. I see window sills in the elevation, but you said there was a. Can you tell me which detail that is?
It's just a call out right here. I now have it under my window schedule, 2-inch recess, so that way we make sure it's clear there. Then as well as I have it in my architectural details sheet showing the we're set.
I see a window sill detail number 2, but I don't see the protruding sill detail.
Yeah, I can ask the 2-inch as well. Then just to put that on there. Yeah, I think that the one thing this is missing is I don't have the actual pop out. Is what you're probably clarifying.
Yeah, I think
you do have these on here, but yeah, you're correct. I don't show them.
I think that maybe Andrew can clarify. I think that was one of his comments, but yeah, I don't see it in the drawings currently as a cell detail.
Yeah, I can make sure I update
coming
this
out, not. Yeah. Let me go back. Or the other comments. Consider added express lintels at openings. Is that something you guys considered, or even with like a control joint or something?
Yeah, for this design, we didn't feel it was necessary. We like to try to keep it. These guys are trying to keep it very economical. Of course, that's clearly their reason. But we noticed that a lot of the homes actually do not have them over their windows. It's actually more confirming to not have it than to put it in there. And so that's why we felt the need with just this sill at the bottom is actually more conforming to everything that's around. You know, all the examples I have.
And then the proposed fencing, is it exposed CMU or is it stuccoed over and painted?
Stuccoed over. Yes, stuccoed over.
Does it say that in the drawings currently?
Yeah, the site plan. So right here we say 60-foot CMU wall with wrought iron fence. Oh wait, so no, yeah, we're not doing stucco. I'm sorry, the stucco is only the wall up at this guy. This is the stuccoed CMU wall. This one we're doing exposed masonry with the wrought iron on it. So no stucco along this guy.
Shouldn't that be noted?
I mean, we should talk about that, how that looks and feels, if that's consistent with the development zone.
What I call out is the blocks to be 8x4 by 16, not the 8x8 by 16. So it's the more decorative look. And I know that's strictly just because again we're trying to match other walls in the area, and that's what they had. They have the block that matches this. We're matching the bricks that everybody has.
Oh, so it's like an integral color block, not just like a gray CMU.
Yeah, so that one was stuck. We're not matching that one, but yeah, if we're doing 8x4 too as well, not 8x8.
Oh, you're
Is
making me
it-
car sick.
Is it is it gray or does it have a color to it? Is it like a slump? Does it have a texture?
It's going to be a white color to match the house. They're going with white, I believe, on theirs.
White. I mean, I think we just need to see an example or something of that, right? Because right now I think the elevations just show a CMU block.
Yeah.
Right. Well, that one that you're pointing to looks like stucco, but the elevations show no.
I think as far as
block.
what you guys are willing to accept, we're willing to do. If you guys prefer stucco, because I noticed that it does match some of them, we're okay stuccoing it. If you want to have it just exposed block, then we're okay with that as well. But the plans on the site plan do call for exposed block.
Okay. I'm for exposed block if it has some color texture to it or something like that is not just plain gray, right? So let's see what other commissioners think. I think that's the comments I had off the bat. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Who wants to go next?
I can go.
Thank you.
Yep. So I'll start with the fences. The wrought iron fence that you're showing, I think the proportion and the visibility are all meeting the design requirements. The one thing that needs to be added, I think, is some sort of design element. This looks kind of more like a contemporary, like pool fence, than what we would see in the development zone. So the way that the design guideline reads is that fences, fence posts, and wall details should have a regular decorative pattern that is visible from the street side. So typically, there's many ways you can do it. I'm not going to prescriptively design it for you, but a lot of people put like little finials on top of it, or they do like alternating picket heights, and they don't have that kind of top rail that caps the fence. So I think you'll need to do something a little bit different with that metal fence to meet the intent of the design guidelines there. On the yard walls in the same section of the design guidelines, it also prohibits the use of like exposed concrete block. So if you were to go to like a smaller proportion with integral color or something like Savannah suggested, I think that may be acceptable. If they want to just use like a standard block, it would have to be stuccoed probably per the design guidelines. So whichever way you want to go on that, you can. But they don't want to just see like exposed or painted CMU. So
Understood. I think what we'll do is just do the stucco because we match the house anyways. That's
what most people do. So the other point I want to look at here. Oh, so on the Speedway side, the 6-foot wall. I mean, I understand you don't want just like a picket fence in front of there, right? It's not like a neighborhood street. I get it. I'm wondering if you could maybe stop that 6-foot wall like where it hits that front yard area, and then maybe you could do like a fence like back to the house to kind of secure that. But it is, I don't know, having it go like all the way to the front property line and then transition is a little out of character for the zone. But I don't know what others think about it. It is kind of a unique situation being right on Speedway there. So on the rooftop mechanical equipment, can we see the elevations again, maybe to see does that show up in them?
Yeah.
Yeah. So the 10-foot rule, I believe that's just under IMC. And are you using IRC or IBC to as your code for this project? You would only have to do IRC.
IRC.
Okay. So I don't think that 10-foot rule is an IRC requirement. I would look at that again. I think you can get closer to the edge of the roof. So I'd like to, if it could get any further back, that'd be great. I know what you're saying. A lot of houses do have rooftop units that are visible, but the reality is people installed those without review or permits or anything years and years ago. So it's not the intent. But I think that's it for my comments right now, and I'll see who else has comments.
Okay, Blake?
Yeah, I'll go. Because I need to jump off here momentarily. I agree with what Savannah and Andrew have to say, particularly about that the AC unit. But when it comes to the wall along the long street, I think that I'm okay with it being stuccoed. I like the idea of the exposed brick, I think better. Just as long as it has some color or texture to it, like Savannah said. I think that would be my preferred option for it. And that's what I got.
Okay, Joel?
Yeah, my only comments are, I would agree with the stucco. I would go ahead and stucco, which I think everybody is on board with. And the windows seem okay. I mean, I've got my tape measure here, and it's got he's talking about a 2-inch I don't know, sill or whatever you want to call it. It seems okay to me. And those were my comments.
Okay, thank you,
Yeah.
Joel. Can we recap here? And Andrew, do you want to make the motion and just discuss what you might put in it? The only thing different than Blake commented that you're okay with a straight wall in the front, or you'd prefer brick? Blake?
Along Speedway, I'm okay. I was okay with it how it was.
Okay,
My
okay.
comments were about the long side. I forget which street that's on.
The front, you mean?
Yeah, along 7th.
Well, yeah. Okay. So Andrew, do you have notes on the motion?
And Terry, I'm so sorry to interrupt.
Yeah, go ahead.
I usually I probably should have said a few things earlier during my section, but I did want to just mention that the West University Historic Zone Advisory Board had in their last motion, because they also heard this item twice.
Right, yeah.
One of their
I wanted to ask about that.
conditions was that the board accepts the 6-foot wall on the west side of their property with wrought iron on top of a 16-inch solid stuccoed CMU wall. And so I wanted to mention that staff also had concerns about the wall along Speedway, even though this is obviously a new construction. It's still in the historic district, and having those solid walls is typically not, it's not really seen. And in terms of National Register, I do know that that's generally discouraged, right? Solid walls kind of block the view of the historic homes. Again, this wouldn't be a historic home, but I think it is still worth thinking about in terms of, setting that kind of pattern and precedent for the neighborhood. And in other cases where other properties have wanted a taller wall, but still wanted to maintain some of that visibility, they've done the, more solid at the bottom and then having the wrought iron on top of it. So just some consideration.
Even though this would be non-contributing, right?
Correct.
Yeah, okay. Is that something we want to consider for that wall?
I think it should be pulled back a little bit from the corner, at least to kind of keep in character. Um, but it's not like it's blocking a view of, some great like Victorian mansion or something. So,
I mean, the
and
big
there
thing
is,
to point out, I would show you guys is the right of way distance is still 20 feet to property line. So there's still a whole 20 feet before it actually hits the property line and visibility off of Speedway. There's a lot. It's usually more than most. When you're on these minor streets, they have like 5 feet before you hit road, where this one has 20 off of
Okay.
7.
So you're
How do
saying
you-
it, would- go ahead.
so how do others feel? I think if we recommend approval of the solid wall, within the front yard setback, it needs to be clear that it's because of, a particular circumstance that warrants it, which I guess
And
would
that
be
it's,
proximity to Speedway,
it's
noise,
not a,
and
and it's
safety.
not a precedent for the height or
Correct.
anything else. And then again, the director can decide whatever they want, but I think, and what do we think? So Desiree, the neighborhood was saying, keep that wall mostly solid, but have something on top of it, like lowering the height, putting something on top of it. Desiree?
Sorry, I was on mute. So they said that about the west wall. Is that the west? Because I know you're
believe it was
proposing
the
to do
west
that.
wall. Yeah.
Okay. So they were referring to the west wall then. So
And
that's
they
the
were
one along
okay with
7th.
that. They were okay with the solid wall and the around Speedway.
They did not have it in their motion, so I'm assuming
But
yes.
But
To the
there,
subcommittee, if I could just add, I'm looking at the West University Design Guidelines, and it says do not use chain link. It says these fence materials will be considered for the side yards and rear yards. So I'm looking at it on page 43, not to use chain link.
You're not proposing chain link, are
No,
you?
there's no chain link in our
But
project.
there's that one that says chain link fence at the very
It's
top.
existing. There's an existing fence there that's along the property line.
Okay, so it's not proposed. Got it.
I'm confused. West University they made a motion, but it's what we're seeing, right? On the west?
Yes.
Or are we looking
So-
at drawings that were revised based on their motion?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and so in their first meeting in November, they did say 50% transparent fence, such as wrought iron, for the front of the property. Were they referring, Alex,
During
to
the 7th. Yeah.
the 7th? Okay, and so then in their final motion, they said they clarified that that was the west. So I just wanted to make sure
Yeah.
that that's what their
Okay.
intent was.
Yeah, I remember the last time we talked about this, and I think I did have a lot of hardship with the wall at Speedway, but also to Andrew's point, like that north elevation doesn't even have windows on it. It's not like they're missing out on seeing something from, architecturally from the street. So I think it's fine. Andrew, did you want to include anything about the sills? I feel like maybe that was one of your original comments last time we saw this.
Yeah, I'm just gonna say to add the protruding sills to the architectural details because they are shown in the elevations.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just one of those typical details. I forgot to drop it on there as well.
Yeah, it's all good. Okay.
Okay, before
Okay.
you go ahead, Andrew, Desiree, Blake left at 2:52. I don't know if you saw that comment.
Thanks. No, thank you. I'll note that.
Okay, go ahead, Andrew. I'm sorry to interrupt.
Okay, so just to recap, the conditions we're going to have is going to be the CMU walls to have a painted stucco finish, the metal fence to have a regular decorative pattern, the rooftop mechanical equipment to be moved as far to the rear as the IRC allows. And then the 6-foot wall is acceptable on the north end, but not to set a precedent. And then just to add the protruding sills to the details. I think I got it all.
Yep.
Yeah, I think
Okay.
so. Go ahead.
Alrighty, very good. On the matter of item 4D, case SD 0825000128/TC MDP 0625000377 at 102 East Speedway Boulevard. I move to recommend approval of the project as presented with the following conditions. 1, that the CMU walls are to have a painted stucco finish. 2, that the metal fence is to have a regular decorative pattern such as finials or alternating picket heights that extend above the top rail. 3, that rooftop mechanical equipment is to be moved closer to the rear of the structure as permitted by the IRC. 4, that the 6-foot wall is acceptable on the north side due to the unique security and noise concerns and does not set a precedent. And 5, to add protruding sills to the architectural details to match those shown in the elevations.
Okay, thank you. Is there a second?
That's Joel.
You got it. Okay, is there any further discussion?
One thing I probably want to add for you guys is just you usually care about the color. And so the wall that you're approving to be a stucco over the stucco for the CMU, you might want to say to match the existing residence. That's what we're going to do. So that way, just make sure we complete that.
We actually don't typically care about color, as long as it's compatible. So, but
Yeah.
I assume we're not painting it like lime green. Yeah.
Okay, so normally we don't have applicant comments in the middle of a motion thing, but we got that clarification in there. So if there's no further discussion, I'll call for the vote. Andrew,
Aye.
Savannah,
Aye.
Joel,
Aye.
and Terry votes aye, and Blake is not present. So it passes 4-0. And can you communicate about Alex with Desiree or Jason about the next steps, or are you familiar? Okay, thank you. Savannah, do you have to get off right at 3, or can we finish the meeting?
I'll stick around for the finish.
Okay, great, thank you. All right, we'll move on to item 4, which is 5A's minor reviews.
Then do you have anything to share?
Yes. So we have completed 2 minor reviews in the last week, and these were both in one in West University and one in Elk City. That's all we have completed at this point in time.
Okay, did you work with Andrew on those?
I did, yes.
Great, thank you. All right, 5B appeals.
No appeals.
Okay. 5C zoning violations.
There are a few cases that we'll be bringing to you all. Yeah, let's see. Jason, do you have any specific you wanted to mention? Just a few that are making their way through the reviews.
Mentioned that we do have that one that is on 701 East University is set to go before West University next Tuesday. And then we'll see if they continue it or if they should recommend to move on to PRS.
Okay, and that's the closest one to coming to us, possibly.
Possibly, yep.
Okay. All right, item 5D is review process issues, and I wanted to share, last time I believe we brought up the issue of versioning of plans. So clearly, staff is not communicating with applicants. They're changing things after the HPZ review, so that we're not reviewing the same plans. And so we need to, we either need to be very careful about hearing from you about that, or we need to get into the habit of asking if these are the same plans that the HPZ reviewed, because that's always been an issue over the years. And is that something that you can bring up with the applicants? Or
yeah, I think Terry, would be helpful for me, I guess, to get a better understanding on what we want the process to look like or what it should look like, because I know that the advisory boards encourage applicants to revise their plans, right, based on their recommendations. And so the applicants could be getting, different direction from different folks. So I think we just need to understand what is the correct process, because also like with HPZs, sometimes they will continue a case just like PRS will continue a case when they want to see changes. So I guess I just need to better understand that myself, so I can, report back at the next meeting.
I think the problem is when we might not agree with it, right? And they go, we just don't want them to spin their wheels and make a bunch of effort when possibly we were fine with how they originally had it. So I don't, sometimes it's nice to see the change and agree. And if I agree with it, it's like, oh, great. Okay. I feel good. It's fine.
Yeah.
But when it just needs to be clear. I think I'm fine either way, as long as it's clear that we're looking at new drawings or the old ones.
And then what was
I
it
agree.
before? I mean, but I think in the past, I mean, the advisory boards need to understand that there's one set of recommendations. Ours is another set, and that a final decision is made outside of the two review boards. So I just think that it didn't used to be such an issue in the past, but if they're going to make changes, they have to be prepared to explain what they did and to be prepared that we may not like it.
Yeah.
So we may recommend to go back to the other thing, but that does make more work, and it also makes the process more confusing for you. I mean, a lot of experienced presenters will say, okay, the advisory board said X, and this is what I plan on doing. What do you think? Or something like that. I mean, it's just, we just need to be careful that we don't lose the independent review of the original plans. And it does make more work for the presenter, the architect, the designer, and also more cost for the owner, right? Because every time architects have to change plans, it's like.
Yes, and we have more recently been telling applicants, don't change your plans after the advisory board review, even if they have conditions, right? We're just going to use that same plan set. So that is something that we've been starting to say. The challenge is, I think, when the boards kind of hold the project, they continue it so that to kind of force their changes to be made. And so maybe that's just something we have to figure out internally, and I can, have a conversation with our city attorney's office as well as what should we be doing? Because just like PRS, they are allowed to continue the item, right? Once. So that's some homework for us to do, but.
Yeah, I would just encourage, the advisory boards, we certainly want to know all their comments, and they can just make a very detailed motion to see what they would like, that would go on record. And, so, and, it's helpful in these executive summaries where it'll say what the board says, and then possibly you all could make notes in staff comments.
So if I may make a suggestion. So the problem does arise that the board members will say continuance and provide these details, so their plans get revised. One idea that occurred to me is that when staff, such as myself, make an executive summary, I could insert into the executive summary what the original plans were reviewed, and then they present in the revised. So ahead of time, you see the original plans, and of course, if there was a continuance, the summary will say on December 12th, they reviewed this, and they made these recommendations, and it was reviewed again in January. So you can see ahead of time what the original set was that they reviewed, and then at PRS, you see what the revised are. That's just a suggestion. I mean, it could be either way.
Well, and I think that there's some situations that would warrant continuing a case, right? But I think you have to encourage them to be very specific about what they want to see, stress the independent nature of the reviews, and it puts us at a disadvantage. And that's not the intent of the process to have the advisory boards drive the changes with, without
Mhm.
mutual review. So, I mean, it's just something we have to think about. I just haven't seen that as often as I have lately, in my years of experience that of what we're reviewing. And, and half the time, I have to pinch myself to remember to say, are we reviewing the original plans? And then, but it could be a special case where there's, a longer delay. I mean, if the last time they reviewed it was, months ago, and then they continue it and then review it again, it's just, you know what I'm saying? It's like, and I think that we might be, it seems like the boards often change more quickly than PRS does. And, they might feel a little bit tentative about that. And I know you worked with them on training, but it's, they have a special role of parallel independent review, right? And I think, unless we changed, I don't know if anyone else feels that that's an issue, but I think it's something we just need to keep in mind.
Yes. Yeah, I'll work on something to clarify the process. We can go over it in all the different boards in here as well. Because something else that has come up, like it just came up today, right? Like the idea of separating out the minor review. That also actually it helps to keep things moving forward, but it can also make it more complex from like a permitting, like the logistical side of things, like keeping track of things. Um, I don't know how legit that really is, but it does help like keep it moving forward so they don't have to continue the cases. And because that's the challenge for the applicants is.
Well, I mean, so in the Fort Lowell case, you have the option of talking to the director and saying, yes, there can be a minor review on it, because we were fine with that entrance gate to the, driveway, and they weren't. And so, it's, I think that we feel as a group that it's a contributing non-historic, which is a very unusual situation to begin with. Right. And, Andrew correctly brought up the fact about the guidelines and stuff. So, anyway, I think we'll work through all these things. I just wanted to get it on the record, and thanks for your careful thoughts about things. So, anyone else about a review process issue?
Yeah, just real quick. Jason and I had talked about this earlier this week, but there's been several like minor review cases and then some that have come through full review where we're kind of granting variances to certain like design guidelines. And I think on PRS we do a pretty good job of it, of making it clear like why that exception is being granted, and that it's not setting a precedent. But maybe just as a reminder to some of the HPZs that may do their reviews like a little more informally, I think we just have to be very careful about it because it opens up the city to lawsuits if we're letting certain people do some things and then being really hard on other people, or giving grace disproportionately relative to the guidelines. So that's more of just a note for like the HPZs and like the minor review process, but I think we do a decent job of it on PRS. So
This, Joel, I agree with Andrew, and I think the language we need to use is that this is such a unique situation. We've never faced it before. We don't anticipate ever seeing it again, and so it's so unique that it just can't have presidential value. And that might be one way to approach it. Just some.
To your point, Joel, one of the things that Andrew and I talked about is, these things are considered on a case-by-case basis and does not set a precedent. And I mentioned that put that in the recommendation. Plus, there's also, shall take into account the needs of the applicant. With the recent reviews were security concerns along Speedway, where there was a lot of homelessness, trespassing, and sleeping on porches and looking in through windows. So people wanted that. And so what happened is they built the fences. And again, that goes back to case by case basis, does not set a precedent.
Yeah. And I find it over the years very difficult to mesh these kinds of case by case things with very puristic, if that's a word, you know what I mean? Like idealistic views of preservation and visibility of everything. And not every neighborhood is like Paradise Valley and Phoenix,
Yeah.
where you're not going to have the kind of crime. And unfortunately, we have so many lovely homes near where things are happening that aren't comfortable for residents, right? And so,
Yeah.
I think we do a good job, but I think it's really good to kind of think about the legalistic aspect of it and the appropriate language that we use, because I don't think we've had anyone really complain lately, but you never know when they might complain, right? We've had,
Yeah. I mean,
um,
there's just cases that come to mind, like for less about like variations from design guidelines, but like the one that comes up that's always really hard is when work has been done without permits and then now we're reviewing it. And, you know, like the one where they replaced all the windows on the building by university with vinyl and, they have to rip them all out. And then there's others where, a previous owner did it and we're going to be, we're going to let them stay and you should replace them down the road. And just the way we approach it, I think that was the right approach in both instances. But I think just making it clear, like beyond just the case by case basis, but why
the
exactly
reason.
is this case unique and why are we granting it here? Just so that there's something to stand on. Because, theoretically, Mr. Guy who had to replace 30 windows is probably really not happy about that. And I don't know. I don't think he's doing anything about it, but it's possible.
Yeah, just to note that Savannah left at 3:13. Is that what you have, Desiree?
Yes.
Okay, so we need to wrap up. So anyone else on review process? Those were really good comments, Andrew. We just need to be explicit in our motions, especially, having the ability to go back and see what was said before. And that's been a problem. I mean, we've had cases come back after years. I mean, very few, but it makes my head hurt trying to find those. And then what is the motion? And it's just really important. So, but anyway, thank you. And let's go on to item 6, future agenda items. What do you have for us on the 23rd?
Yes, so we have, I will just say in general, it's just picking up. There are a lot of requests for, either reviews coming through, also requests for courtesy reviews. So we do have a few full reviews that will be ready. 433 North Main. That's actually also a code enforcement case as well. That's in El Presidio that will come to you. Another Alex Enoch project, 605 East 4th Street / 710 North 2nd Avenue. And that is also related to a code enforcement case. We're going to be bringing the programmatic agreement that we've been working on with SHPO. It's the SHPO HUD City of Tucson programmatic agreement for federally funded, usually, CDBG kind of HUD funded projects that we review through the city. So we're going to present that to you all. And there will likely be one other full review. We're just kind of waiting to see that resubmittal come in. But in addition, there are some others that will probably come to you in May. The Santa Rita Bathhouse signage will be coming to you on the 14th, most likely. Pima County is going to be bringing a historic landmark designation forward to you for the Charles E. Cox House. That was submitted by the Tucson Historic Preservation Foundation, and then some additional full reviews. So, and a few other courtesy reviews have been requested. So we'll see how things play out when the applicants actually submit their plans.
And I appreciate, Desiree, that we work on that together. And just so Andrew, you and Joel know, I requested that we review the programmatic agreement in PRS and have a track change version from a previous version. So I think we kind of understand more of those things than the full commission would understand. It would be difficult. And so, Desiree, I'm not confused, am I? This is the one that
correct. Yes.
And I think it's a good idea. So Anyway, so I can be there on the 23rd. Savannah said she could. Andrew and Joel, will you mark that on your calendars and be there? Or
Yep, I'll be there.
how about you, Joel?
Yes, indeed. I've got it marked.
Mark it. And when I didn't hear from you about the full commission meeting, I was getting worried that I hadn't heard from you. So be sure to put this on your calendar, 1 p.m. So anyway,
Oh,
thanks
Joel, you're
everyone.
muted.
Oh, Joel's muted.
Was the full commission the first day of the month?
No, it was yesterday.
I'm so sorry. I get those dates mixed up, but I'll
Yeah.
be there. I'll be there.
Yeah, it's always the second Wednesday, and it was the first of the month was a
Yeah,
Wednesday, so that's why it was weird. So,
that's
okay, well, thanks to everyone. We finished a tiny bit earlier than last time, and whew, all right, it's 3:17, and I'll watch for you to get me the LARs, and I know Andrew's going to send his motions, and I think Savannah's was just as presented. I can't remember, but anyway, I think we're good. And
Thank you all.
thanks everyone. Have a good rest of the week. Bye-bye.
Thanks. You too.
Bye.